it's very hard, and so you want to nurture something. You want to really feel like you're not just packing this box and letting somebody else do the work. You want to do the work. At least that's how we feel about it, because we love working. I mean, this is why we're doing what we do, because we love it. And so there was this little studio called Studio Le Cachette in France, in Paris. And I liked some of their work, and so just on a whim, I emailed them. I said, I'm going to do a new show. Do you guys want to do the animation? They agreed to do one episode, and then we started to see the work come back. And the way we work is basically, they would send us every scene every week. So we get to see all the layouts, the animations. Scott gets to go over all the BG colors, and what that means is a more collaborative process, and we get to really nurture everything and make it very different and unique. And for this show especially, where there is no dialogue, and luckily, the folks at Adult Swim, Mike Lazo, Keith Crawford, they really support us. And what I do is, after we finish the storyboard, I'll pitch it, and I record it just as storyboards, and I'll send it over for approval, and it goes really well. And it's everything is very trust. It's really the best work experience I've ever had. And so with Scott, we'll finish the storyboard, then I'll hand it to him. And we never talk about colors so much, we just talk about emotion.
Right. Mood, time of day.
Yeah.
You always want something that no one's ever seen before, which is pretty impossible.
And so what we try to do, we follow the theory, I know I've spoken about it before, about no green grass or blue sky. Everything's got to have a point of view on it, and that's how kind of nature is. There's always something specific to it. And so Scott would do he starts doing the backgrounds. I start putting all the boards together and doing the timing, and then we start this collaborative process with the French studio. And we went to visit them in January, and it was great because they're all very young, which is really awesome because they're excited. They haven't been beaten down by the industry yet, and they want to do something great. And it's the first time where I think, because I have a body of work and that they actually know about it, versus kind of being a 25-year-old kid doing Dexter, where they were like, "Who is this idiot?" And so it's been exciting for them, exciting for us, and we have this new feeling to the show, And then once we get the show together, then we take it to Tyler.
Yeah, and then Genndy comes over to the studio. We small talk a bit. He and Joanne and I do, and then I'll look at him. I'm like, "Okay, are you ready?" He'll be like, "Yes." And then Joanne hits record. And then Genndy will walk us through the show. So normally you'd call this a spotting session. I guess it is, but he beatboxes us in a way through the entirety of the show. He knows exactly where he wants music, exactly where there's not music, and that's a master of his craft, like completely understanding what it is we're creating. So it might start off with and that's like, the first 10 seconds of our spotting, and then it goes on. But it's really inspiring, and we're dealing mostly with our internal discussion. There's no extraneous elements that we're referencing. It's really all about this conversation and building on the creativity that's been established from this show and our previous experiences. So it's really exciting.
But that's kind of the process in a nutshell, but I know there's probably questions, so let's open it up to the floor and see what you guys want to talk about. Or nothing. Oh, there's people. Okay. Know that.
Just like to say that I love the holes in the animation. And my question is that I know that animation totally has like a stigma of being like only for children, and I know that's been slowly diminishing over time, but do you still kind of face that in your artistic community, or just like when you're trying to pitch anything?
Yes, for sure. It's still there's still a thing where animation's for kids. We're definitely getting a lot better, especially because of Adult Swim, Simpsons. Obviously, all those shows have helped us along the way. But can we break it into features? I think television is definitely opening up, and we'll see what the future holds. For features, it's got to make money. That's at the end of the day, that's what counts, and it's a business. And so, but I feel like America's ready. You know, and for me, Primal is the first big step towards that, and because I think like on the big screen in the theater, it could be amazing.
My question was just looking at watching the episode, it made me think of old pulp novels like Conan, Tarzan. Did that have any influence in making of Primal?
Absolutely. I was a big Conan fan, and you know, of course, we all watched the movie, and I lived the first 30 minutes of the movie, and then I discovered the books very late. And when I read the books, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. He's so much more of a character. And they were pulpy novels, that's what they were. And they were short stories. And I loved you just drop in, and it's him and some naked girl walking through the desert facing a monster. And I was like, that is so interesting and compelling. Can we make a show like that with that kind of story-inspired structure? And that's what our episodes are. You know, we just kind of drop in, and they're either fighting 1,000 raptors, or they're dealing with some kind of mastodon issue. But the big answer is, yeah, Frank Frazetta, pulp novels, Conan, that was all huge in the inspiration.
Thank you.
Yes, good observation.
Going from writing for Samurai Jack to something without dialogue, do you find it harder to write the stories without dialogue?
Not at all. It's the most natural thing I do. I think because I'm an immigrant. I'm a citizen, but I did come to this country late. The control of the English language, as you're probably aware of already, isn't that spectacular. So I'm very comfortable with the visuals. And that's, by the way, this is why we're in the industry, because we want to do visual storytelling. I love to escape, and especially, I love music and sound effects, and to create a world with sound and visuals is incredible. And to transport you guys there, if it's successful, is really what it's all about. So it's actually easier than dialogue in some weird way.
Thank you.
So my question was also a little bit about that choice to make it wordless. Sean Tan's The Arrival is probably one of my favorite graphic novels, and that's a wordless one. So I'm just wondering, what was your motivation behind making it wordless? I know you talked about the love of the visuals, but also, and how did you convince them to let you make that bold choice?
Well, the inspiration was, it really kind of stemmed from when I mixed the episodes. Because when I mix the episodes, we mix them for television, so without getting too specific about it, you only have a certain number of channels where you can have music and effects and dialogue, and usually everybody needs to hear the dialogue, and so the music and effects go down. And I'm like, oh, but I love that music cue, I want to hear it up. And so through Samurai Jack, I started to really get rid of dialogue, even just grunting, because I always found that even when Jack goes, ugh, it's got to be the loudest thing on the screen, even though there's this amazing music playing. And so I thought, well, maybe I could do a whole show like this. And there was zero convincing involved. I basically pitched the first storyboard to Mike Lazo, and he goes, man, this is great, let's do it. And that was it. So it was very, very lucky.
Hi. There's so much emotion and so much grief that I felt by watching that. And I was wondering if you could talk about the decision to have something positive come from so much loss and so much grief.
Well, I mean, I guess that's kind of life, like we all deal with, not to get too deep and emotional, but everybody has some kind of tragedy or grief or something, and you gotta, kind of move on and somehow find a way to deal with it. And I think, especially in this hardcore primordial world, and the thing about it is I didn't want to just do a violent show, just because we can. I still wanted it to have story and character and emotion, because that actually heightens the violence, especially if you care for the characters, So that's kind of part of our DNA. We never want to just do it, just violence for violence sake, because we can. We wanted to do motivated. You really want to have the emotions motivated, and it's drama brings characters together. It's story rule number one. Thank you.
All right. Hi. Big fan of all you guys' work. I was kind of curious about the art direction, because it's looking more and more cinematic.